going on YouTube? This is Garrett DJ Deuce with another pickups video for you guys. This video is going to cover 1 week's worth of pickups, and let me tell you, this week was crazy. So last week, of course, the snowstorm hampered any kind of hunting at all and our snowboard trips. I was very bummed out. So this week totally made up for it. I mean, the flea market was busy today. I'm assuming because the past 2 weeks, weather's been really bad, so the sellers haven't really been able to go out there. So all the stuff that they've been buying as far as storage lockers and everything's been kind of piling up. So today, I mean, the line to the flea market, like literally as far as the cars going into the gates, literally I've never seen it go from the gates all the way to the end of the road, especially with the sellers. Tons of sellers out there today. But I got contacted by a few contacts that buy storage lockers that, they asked me if I was going to be out this weekend. So they had some goodies for me. So I said, okay, I'll be out there this weekend. And damn, I mean, just insane. And today's only Saturday. I'm going back tomorrow. So hopefully tomorrow will be just as good as today. So I'm going to cover today's, and then I'm going to edit the video, of course, to include tomorrow's if there's some stuff that I find. So let's get right to it. We'll start off with the stuff that, things that I've been picking up throughout the week. We'll start off with a adversary that I got complete in box, and this was from an indoor flea market that posted an ad on Craigslist saying they had a vintage video game system for sale, and it was $24.99, but they also said their booth was 30% off. So after the discounts, this ended up being about $18 and some change. So for that amount, I picked up a complete in box adversary. I'm really, really big on like really old vintage consoles like the Ataris and ColecoVision, Vectrex, Texas Instruments stuff. I mean, that's the stuff that I grew up on. So to find something for under $20 that I remember seeing back in the days, never owned this back in the days, but remember seeing it, is just awesome. So we have a complete in box adversary. All right. Went to the Arc, picked up a couple of games for $2.99 a piece. Ended up keeping only one game, which is Final Fantasy XI. This is online for the Xbox 360. Comes with the slipcover. So $2.99 for this title, excuse me. So throughout the week, well, on Monday, I bought a bunch of lots off of eBay. So buying lots off of eBay is actually pretty cost-effective because, number one, you don't burn gas or wear and tear on your car, and you can pretty much just get everything one shot online as long as the price is decent. So I bought like a loose disc collection for PS1 titles. I bought a Sega Genesis collection, a Sega Genesis lot, which was like a Model 2 and 3, plus a bunch of Sega Genesis titles, one of them being like Battletoads Double Dragon without a label. So that was kind of a bonus. It didn't work at first, but once I cleaned the contacts, got it all up and running, and it was Battletoads. And I got another lot that had some N64 games, some Sega Genesis games, some PS1 games, some PS2 games. And so the prices that I paid for those lots were $100 plus shipping. I paid $150 for another one plus shipping, and I paid $60, which included shipping, for the Genesis lot. So this is all the stuff that I decided to keep. So we'll start off with Sports Talk Football 93, Wheel of Fortune, Team USA Basketball, Tommy Lasorda Baseball, NBA Live 95, World Series Baseball, Mario Andretti Racing, MLBPA Baseball, Tony La Russa Baseball. Lots of sports titles, but the lot was really cheap, so I couldn't pass up. Hard Driving, James Buster Douglas Boxing, PGA European Tour, NBA Showdown 94, Jeopardy, NFL Football 94, NBA All-Star Challenge, Muhammad Ali Heavyweight Boxing, Madden 96, Joe Montana Sports Talk Football, College Football USA 97, NFL Football 94, College Football 95, Madden 97, NHL 94, Madden 98, NBA Live 96, and 97. So just tons of just common titles, but still, they're very cheap. So can't really complain, especially when they average about $1 or $2 a piece. Complete. Always a good deal. Okay, so I got some loose carts out of one lot as well. So we've got Judge Dredd, Jurassic Park, and Caesar's Palace. So from the PS1 lots that I mentioned, I kept Ford Racing, Driver, and the loose disc collection I mentioned, I kept Master of Monsters, Disciples of Gaia, Snowcross Championship Racing, The Dukes of Hazzard Daisy Dukes It Out 2, Razor Racing, Battle Stations, 3 Extreme, 007 Racing, Duke Nukem Time to Kill demo CD. This is just a PlayStation Jam Pack Summer 2003 disc. Skydiving Extreme, Uprising X, Namco Museum Volume 1, WCW NWO Thunder, Buzz Lightyear, Scooby-Doo Cyber Chase, and Tom and Jerry in House Trap. So they're all loose, and I have about half of the cases and manuals for these games, so the other half I have to go find. Alright, these are all complete PS1 titles that I got from a lot. So this is Cool Borders 2001, Soviet Strike, V-Rally 2 Need for Speed, this is McGrath vs. Pastrana, Tigger's Honey Hunt, Rainbow Six, Test Drive Off-Road 2, IHRA Drag Racing, Cyber Tiger, NFL Game Day 97, Action Bass, Breakout, FIFA Soccer 2002, NCAA Final Four 2001, Largo Winch, Knockout Kings 2000, Boxing, MTV Celebrity Deathmatch, Midway's Arcade's Greatest Hits, Atari Collection 1, Siphon Filter 1, All-Star Racing 2, VMX Racing without the manual, but I have the manual in the other room. This is NBA Shootout 97, and finally NBA Fast Break 98. So going for the full PS1 set, so picking up as many commons as I can, dirt cheap. I already took care of most of the expensive titles, so just trying to get all the filler. So I picked up a Dreamcast bundle for 20 bucks, free shipping, and I got Sega Dreamcast web browser, Soul Calibur, Red Dog, which is the game I really wanted, and NFL 2K1. Picked up this, I think this was like $49.99. $49.99 free shipping, and this is Sagaya for the Sega Genesis, and the shipper, the seller, was nice enough to put a protective case on it, which was really cool. Packed it really good in a big box, and it does come with the manual. So just been on the Sega Genesis kick lately. Since I've been picking up, I've been picking up lots that have Sega Genesis titles. I figure I might as well at least start on getting some titles. So very happy with that. All right, so I went to the flea market this morning. I was contemplating whether to go to yard sales first, then the flea market. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe it's best if I go to the flea market first and then hit up the yard sales afterwards, especially since a few of my contacts contacted me saying that they were going to be out there with some things. So also, yesterday on my way home from work, I got a text message from a collector who was selling a bunch of stuff on Craigslist and asked me if I had interest in it. Some really, really good heavy hitter titles. So I told him that after the flea market that I would pick it up at his work, which was not too far from the flea market. And I paid a total of $700 for everything you're about to see. But there's just some heavy hitters in this lot. So we'll start off with that first, and then I'll get to the flea market pickups. Because there's just a lot of good stuff in here. So let's start off with the Nintendo titles. We've got Zelda 1 and 2. We got Paperboy, Tetris, Tengen Pac-Man, Q*bert, Batman, Mario Duck Hunt, Kirby's Adventures, Super Mario Bros. 3, and finally Home Alone. Got some GameCube games all complete. We got Wind Waker, Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, Luigi's Mansion, Crazy Taxi, and Super Mario Sunshine. Actually, this is part of a trade. All right, let's get on with the N64 titles, because there are a lot. There are 2 stacks. I don't know if you guys can see this. 2 stacks of them. So I'm going to go 2 stacks at a time. So we got Mario Party, NFL Blitz 2001, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Super Smash Brothers, Zelda Majora's Mask, Ready to Rumble Boxing 2, Tarzan, Cruisin' World, Banjo-Kazooie, Mario Kart 64, Kirby 64, and the Crystal Shards, Mario Tennis, Perfect Dark, Donkey Kong 64, Super Mario 64, Yoshi's Story, GoldenEye, Bomberman Hero, WCW vs. NWO World Tour, Paper Mario. We got Mario Golf, Rugrats Scavenger Hunt, Tetrasphere, Army Men Sarge's Heroes 1 and 2, and these are the gray variants. So that's pretty cool. We got Diddy Kong Racing, Toy Story 2, Rush Hour, this is Rush 2, excuse me, WWF Warzone, Zelda Ocarina of Time, and finally South Park. So before I get into the Super Nintendo titles, and there's a lot of these too, so the seller included, in the original deal, the seller was asking $700 for everything, and last minute he said, I want to take 1 game out. So, you know, in exchange for the 1 game, I'll hook you up with the Mario Sunshine, a double of Zelda, A Link to the Past, and 2 other games to make up for this, what game he pulled out last minute. And he dropped the price to $600. So $600 plus 4 games to make up for this 1 game that he pulled out. Well, turns out that after I was done picking up the lot, and I was already done with the flea market at this point, I was going through the bag. I mean, I trust him. I know this guy. I bought a lot of stuff from him before. So I went through the bag and discovered that this 1 game was still in there. So I texted him saying, hey, dude, you made a mistake. You included the game that you didn't want to keep in there. So he was like, oh, man. So I, after some talking, I convinced him to sell it to me. So I paid $100 for the game that was, in there, included by mistake. And he also thanked me and appreciated my honesty, because I could have easily said, what game? But I don't do business like that. It's bad karma. I hate it. So I believe in long-term relationships with people. Like I said, I bought from this guy before, and he was just purging more of his collection. So let's get on with the Super Nintendo games. We've got Super Mario Kart, which was an extra game that he threw in, doubles of. Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3. Super Mario World, which was also another game he threw in there, for free. To make up for the missing game at first, but he decided to just leave those in the bundle after I paid him for the other game. We got Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat 1, Mario Kart, that's the other one, and then here's the other Super Mario World, Super Mario All-Stars, Batman Forever, Scooby-Doo's Mystery, Donkey Kong Country, Home Alone, Jurassic Park, Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. Here's the other Zelda, Link to the Past, Batman Returns, NBA Jam, and then finally, Super Mario RPG, The Legend of the Seven Stars. And here's the game that he left out and then mistakenly left it in the bag, Earthbound. So I paid $100 more, so I paid $600, plus he gave me the 4 games to make up for this not being in the lot. And then it was in the bag while I was still out and about. So I texted him, told him, you made a mistake. This was in the bag. Pretty shocked. So it actually helped me, because I was able to convince him to sell it to me, and gave him an extra, gave him $100, and he let me keep the 4 games as a token of his appreciation for being honest with him. So that's just the beginning of everything. So now let's take a look at the flea market pickups for today, which is Saturday. Alright, so this next pickup comes from the flea market. Yesterday I got a text message from one of my storage locker contacts, and he asked me if I was going to be at the flea market today. And I was like, definitely going to be there, because the weather's been bad the past couple weeks. So I knew that there were going to be tons of sellers out today. just itching to dump all their stuff cheap because they've been sitting on this stuff for 2 weeks because of inclement weather. So I told them I was going to be there, and so I showed up there at 7 o'clock. The line was already long because there were also tons of buyers as well. Lucky for me, there was only 2 other folks out there looking for video games. One owns like a vintage record store that also sells video games. It's called the Leech Pit. And the other one was called Videogame Exchange and Comics. The owner was out there looking for stuff. And they both left early because the weather, it was pretty cloudy. It looked like it was going to rain too, but luckily it didn't. So they left pretty early. After doing a couple laps, they were just like, I'm done. So, and there really wasn't much out there as far as, going to individual booths. So I'm really, really glad that I was able to score on 2 different lots. So this is the first of 2. So this lot cost me $40. So what happened was I met up with the guy that texted me. His name is Tony. He had a big box of stuff, and he was like, hey, I got a bunch of video game stuff for you. You want to take a look? And I was like, sure. So what I did was I took out all the non-video game related stuff and kind of put it in a little crate. Like, it was like cell phone chargers, cell phones, calculators, not Texas Instrument calculators, but just random stuff that was thrown in the box. And I finally got a nice, clean, lot together. And so I went to him and said, hey, Tony, so what are you asking on all this stuff? And so he kind of looked at it, looked at me, was like, well, what do you think it's worth? I was like, well, there's no way for me to test the systems. And I'm pretty sure he didn't test them himself because he would have mentioned, hey, I tested these and they work. But he didn't mention anything about them being tested. So I was like, okay, can't test the systems, can't test the handhelds. It's a big risk. What are you thinking? So he looks at everything and he's like, how does $50 sound? So right then and there, that was a pretty good deal. But, I still love to haggle a little bit. So I was like, you know what could I take out of the lot to make it $40? And he looked at everything. He was like, you know what? Just take everything for $40. So gave him $40. He was very happy. And that is a tactic that you can use, during negotiation phases, at the flea markets or even when you go look at somebody's collection or whatever on Craigslist. That's a good tactic to, once they establish a base price and it's close to what you want to pay for it, you can either counteroffer with something lower, or if it's really close to what you would pay for it, you can also do a little bit more haggling saying, what can I take out to make it this amount? And sometimes they'll go for it and sometimes they won't. Most of the time they've gone for it. Every time I've used that negotiating tactic, it's worked. So for $40, I got a bunch of stuff. But like I said, I haven't had time to test these things out yet. So, it's a risk, but still there's a couple games in here that would make it all worth the while anyways. So we'll start off with the handhelds. We got 2 Game Gears. Don't know if they work. This one has the battery covers. This one does not. So got 2 of these. And all the systems I'm showing you come with controllers. So and all the hookups. We got a little Cobalt Blue DS Lite, and it came with Phineas and Ferb Ride Again. That was the bonus game that was inside of there. Didn't power up, so again, I don't know if this works or not. All right, we've got a 60 gig hard drive for the Xbox 360. Told you some random stuff. We got 3 Nintendo 64 controllers, but no Nintendo. Oh, it actually came with a Watermelon Red. This whole lot came with a Watermelon Red N64 with no power brick, no audio video cables, but it came with 3 controllers. So I've got yellow, red, and gray. So what I did with that Watermelon Red was I saw a collector at the flea market. Her name is Valerie. So after the flea market, she had mentioned that she saw some Watermelon Red N64 without the battery, without the jumper pack cover, and the guy was asking like $60 for it, so she thought it was too expensive. So I told her, I was like, hey, I picked up a lot that had a Watermelon Red N64 in it. The only problem is it doesn't come with the power brick or the audio video cables. And so she was like, you know what, that's fine. So we met up, and she showed me what she found at the flea market, and there was one game that caught my eye. So I gave her the Watermelon Red N64 as is with, just the standard jumper pack with the console, nothing else. And I also gave her $15 cash, and I traded her for a copy of Clock Tower for the PS1. The disc is in awesome shape. This is one of the titles that I've been looking for the set. So very, very happy that she was able to part with this. I don't think she had any emotional or any, I don't think she's going to play it, basically. So it was a good trade because this is like $60. So giving her the Watermelon Red N64 plus $15 cash, to me, was well worth it considering how much I paid for everything, this whole lot. So, Clock Tower. Alright, so it also came with some systems. And so we'll start off with this Darth Vader. I've been finding a lot of these lately. Darth Vader Atari 2600. It came with all the paddle. It came with some paddles and the controllers, the power brick, and it also came with a couple of extra controllers. So got that. Ton of games for it. We got Cosmic Arc, Night Driver, 16 telegames, Slot Racers, Outlaw, Basketball, Pole Position, and I think that's it for the, yeah, that's all for the Atari games. All right, so it also came with an IntelliVoice, excuse me, a loose IntelliVoice. I've already got one. Yeah, I got one already complete in box, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this one. It also came with a regular Nintendo with 2 controllers, all the hookups. No bonus game. It came with a video touchpad with Star Raiders overlay on it for the Atari 2600. But it came with a ColecoVision. I already have one of these complete in box. It does come with the power brick, which is this big beast right here. I couldn't find the video cable. It's probably in the. I have a laundry basket that's full of all the cords and controllers and whatnot, so I'll have to go through that. But I've never seen one that came with a white joystick, so maybe this is an aftermarket, or maybe they released a different color or something. I only remember black back in the days, but this is hopefully complete and hopefully works, because this is an awesome system, especially to find out in the wild. But it also came with the expansion module, so that's pretty cool. And it came with a few games. It came with Looping, Pepper 2, Ladybug, Mousetrap, and Donkey Kong. So hopefully that'll work too. Alright, so it came with 2, these are just game cases, there's no games in here, but Nintendogs case, and this is Chihuahua and Friends, got the manual in there, and My Little Pony Pinkie Pie's Party, again this is just a case with the manual. Just random stuff in that lot. Bunch of Game Boy Color manuals and Game Boy manuals, Frogger, All-Star Challenge 2, the Game Boy Color manual, and the Consumer Information Booklet, Tetris Attack, and Tetris 2. Alright, came with some Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. We've got Pocket Bomberman, Pac-Man, and finally, Super Mario Land. Also had Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Got the 6-pack cartridge, not for resale, for the Sega Genesis. Some loose Xbox and PS, well, it's a PS3 title in here too. So we got Need for Speed Underground 2, Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition Remix, and Green Lantern Rise of the Manhunters for the PS3. This disc looks awful though. I don't think this is going to play. It's got spots all over the bottom part. That's probably broken, but still, $40 for the entire lot. Can't really complain. Alright, so the final game that was in this lot, and probably the only decent game in the lot, is The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. So, man, that other lot that I paid $700 for had 2 copies of that. So this is the 3rd copy. And I'll show you guys all these the copies after the videos. Alright, so this next lot, I paid a total of $120 for. And this is from one of the storage locker contacts that I gave a number to, but he never calls me. But whenever he, does show up at the flea market, he pulls a lot of stuff aside for me. So when I saw him at the flea market, he said, "Hey man, I got a basket full of games for you." And it was pretty tall laundry basket, about this high. And all I saw in there were 2 complete in box systems. I saw a PS2 fat and a box that contained a Nintendo 64. And then there were a bunch of Nintendo 64 games on the bottom too, so I kind of picked through a few, and I saw 2 or 3 titles, and I was like, what do you want for everything? And so he had to talk to somebody else, and who also looked over kind of everything really quick, and he was like, don't take less than 120 for it. So I overheard that conversation. He came back to me. I tried to counter with $100. He was like, no, I think I'm comfortable at 120. You got a lot of good stuff in here. So I took it, and he was like, you know what, I got some other stuff too. If you want to help me unload the car, afterwards, then you can look through that stuff too. So what I did was I paid for this stuff right away, and then I left it in his front seat. And so then when I was digging through some boxes, he said he had another tub with games. I came across another pile of games, and this one he wanted $70 for, probably because of some of the games, the more common, I know what that game is kind of thing is. But there were tons of gems in there, so I didn't mind paying $70. When you see what's in there, you'll freak. So we'll start off with the $120 lot. So the $120 lot consists of 2 complete in box PS2 Slims. One is a silver that's in the box, and the other one is a black Slim in the box. All right. Also found a cool little Master Chief Halo 4 pop figure. It's pretty cool. There's actually 4 of them in the set, so that's pretty cool. Awesome to have that. The box is kind of messed up. All right, so this is a PS2 Fat. Oh, it's missing the front door. Dang it. I didn't notice that. It's got the front, door missing, but it's really, really heavy, so I know the hard drive is in there. Because there's also a utility disc that I'm about to show you. So it comes with the hard drive, the network card, plus there's a hard drive in here. So hopefully this is modded. We'll see. I'll fire it up and test and see if it works. But PS2 Fat. Oops. Nintendo GameCube with the memory card. And all these came with the cords and controllers too. So we have a Nintendo 64 with a standard jumper pack, but it's got some loose stuff in there. But that Nintendo 64 came with like 4 controllers. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's pretty cool. Power brick, AV cable, all that good stuff. Also came with a Sega Genesis Classic console, the wireless remote. These are always cool because they actually play carts and they have built-in games. Finally, a Super Nintendo with the AV cable and, RF cable and the power brick. So hopefully all these systems work because they priced this lot predominantly on the systems. They didn't really even see the games at all because the games were kind of buried near the bottom of the basket. So after dumping out the laundry basket into my living room floor, I pulled a bunch of stuff out. So there was a bunch of Nintendo 64 games, not in the greatest condition, but we have Pokemon Stadium, Forsaken, Pokemon Stadium 2, Quake, Turok 2, Star Fox 64, Hey You Pikachu, a very, very mint condition, just kidding, copy of Super Smash Brothers. The label is just torn. So this mystery game I tested, and it was Pokemon Snap. Then we got Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards. So I have 2 of these. There's one in that $700 lot, and there's one on this lot, as well as Super Smash Brothers, and I think that was it as far as like doubles from that other lot. So cool with that. But check this out. I thought there was only 1 copy of Conker's Bad Fur Day in there, because that's one of the titles that I saw aside from Pokemon Stadium and the Smash Brothers. I was like, okay, cool. I'll pay 120 all day because this title is like 80 bucks by itself. But Conker's Bad Fur Day. But as I said earlier, when I was dumping the laundry basket out, not only 1 copy spilled out, but 2. So there's 2 copies of Conker's Bad Fur Day, plus the one I got from the $700 lot. So 3 in one day. That is just insane. So this one, of course, the label's in really good shape on this one. These have little tears in them, But still, 3 copies of Conker's Bad Fur Day in one day. Crazy. So those are the 2 from this lot. Just insane. And, of course, it came with 2 other games, which is Outlander for the Super Nintendo and Super Alfred Chicken. Keeping these 2 because I've never seen those. Also came with a Game Shark. Pretty cool. And some Pokemon Gold cards. We got Poliwhirl, excuse me, Mewtwo, and Jigglypuff. I'm going to give these away for free to someone that I'm going to do a trade with tomorrow. She has a couple of games that I want, and I have a Pokewalker and a Zelda game for her. So I'm going to throw these in there as well. Got 2 copies of, there's actually a total of 3, and I'll show you the third one in a second. So we have 1 copy of Pokemon Red, 2, and then there's a third one, which is part of this other lot. I'll show you guys later. And then we have Pokemon Crystal, which has a bad save battery. Alright, bunch of just random complete games. Wipeout XL for the PS1. Far Cry 2. Shrek for the original Xbox. We got Guitar Hero 3 for the PS2. Resident Evil 4. The Gears of War Triple Pack. Lost Planet 2. And then finally, Twisted Metal Black and Test Drive. Okay, so I was helping the guy unload his car, sort everything out, because that gives me, you know, a chance to, get first dibs on whatever I find. So I was unloading some boxes and everything, and sorting out DVDs on the table, VHS tapes, some jewelry, just basically emptying out his minivan and helping him lay out stuff on the table because, it looked like he needed help. So I ran across a small little shoebox of just games. So I asked him, I was like, how much do you want for these games? And so he called the guy over again. The guy took a look. Well, Pokemon's pretty, up there in price, and I think the Yoshi game is worth money, and blah 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 blah. I wouldn't take less than $70 for it. So I was like, cool. And wait till you see why. So we'll start off with the Pokemon games that I talked about, because that's what these were predominantly priced, towards. So we got Pokemon Fire Red version and Leaf Green. The third copy of Pokemon Red, Mutant League Football, and Hockey. These games alone pay for the whole lot, because this is like, one of these is 50-ish, and one of them's 20. So these 2 games, well, actually, these are like 80-ish, but after fees, 70. So these 2 games pay for this lot that you're about to see, and the rest are free. We got a copy of Shenmue, and it is complete. Yep, it's got even the Passport CD. Very glad to have that. So we got Yoshi's Island. All right. Killer Instinct. Finally, the 3 gems of this whole freaking $70 lot. So we got Turtles in Time, but this is not any ordinary Turtles in Time. This is a not for resale Turtles in Time. You can see there on the spine, not for resale, demo only. So Turtles in Time demo. I looked this up after the fact. $200. It's insane for a demo card. So that's not just 1, but I got 2 demo cards. This one is Stunt Race FX, not for resale. Demo game only, property of Nintendo, and the spine. 2 of these. Crazy. And a second Earthbound. So here's the Earthbound from that $700 lot. And then this is the other one from this lot. 2 freaking Earthbounds. So 3 Conker's Bad Fur Days, 3 Pokemon Reds, 2 Earthbounds, and I have 3 Zeldas from this weekend. 3 Zelda Link to the Pasts. So definitely a good weekend. Just insane. So that's pretty much all the pickups that I have for today, which is Saturday, excuse me. I'm just tripping. So stay tuned for Sunday's pickups, which will follow after this. All right, so these are Sunday's flea market finds. Sunday was just as busy as Saturday. Lots of sellers, lots of buyers. I was able to pick up a couple of pretty decent lots out there as well. So let's get started with a PS1 lot that I got off of a seller named Craig. He told me that he had a PS1 and a Nintendo Wii bundle, and he sold each bundle to me for $35. So a total of $70 for both lots. The red Wii was complete in box. It was the 25th anniversary Mario edition. Came with like four complete in box games, Wii Sports, Super Mario Brothers Wii, plus a couple of loose titles. So that's on the sell block right now, so I'm not going to show that to you guys. I am going to show you the PS1 stuff that I kept. So I kept the system for one because it's an audiophile version. These are not rare or anything, but it's just really cool to have the ones with the RCA inputs. So adding that to the Sony collection. There were a stack of games about this high, so I kept just these 6. So we've got the Italian Job, 007 Racing, MTV Pure Ride, NASCAR 99, Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, and finally Test Drive Off-Road 3. So $35 each bundle. If you guys want to see everything that was included in today's pickups, just stay tuned after the video and I'll show you guys pictures. Alright, so there was a Nintendo 64 that I picked up. It had the red expansion pack, an atomic purple controller, and Namco Museum 64. Pretty good condition. Came with, like I said, one controller, excuse me. And it also came with Donkey Kong 64. Now this label is in a lot better shape than the Donkey Kong 64 that came in the $700 lot from Saturday. So this is the one that I'm keeping in the N64 collection. So glad to add that. Saw another seller named Luke out there with a small little PS1 system with just a ton of common games. So he was stuck at $50. So I paid $50 for everything. Half the games I'm going to sell, so I'm not going to show you guys that. But these are the games that I decided to keep. Starting with NHL Face-Off 2001 Demo Disc, Toka Championship Racing, NASCAR 2001, Supercross Circuit, Army Men Sarge's Heroes, Skydiving Extreme, Vegas Games 2000, Tonka Space Station, Razor Racing, NCAA Football 98, Madden 2002, Fighting Force Collector's Edition, NASCAR Thunder 2002, Knockout Kings 2000, Test Drive 6, MLB 2000, and finally NHL 2001. So $50 for that bundle. Forgot to mention also at the flea market, I found 5 original Xbox games that the seller wanted $10 for all, so $2 a piece. These are the 2 titles that I kept. It's Buffy the Vampire Slayer, only on Xbox game. And finally, WWF Raw. Alright, so after the flea market, did a trade with a collector, traded a copy of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures that I mentioned in the last video, plus a Poké Walker. So I traded those for these 2 GameCube games. We've got Mega Man Network Transmission and Baten Kaitos, the first one. So glad to re-add these to the collection because I got rid of both of these last year to go to Hawaii. So glad to finally get these back in the collection. Did another trade plus cash with another collector. And so I picked up a copy of Bram Stoker's Dracula from this person, as well as 2 Sega Genesis titles that are in the cardboard boxes. X-Men 2 Clone Wars and Gargoyles. This person also picked up for me at a local game store Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 The Manhattan Project. The box is a little beat up, but this was only $49.99 because it didn't have the manual. But I did have the manual in my manuals collection, so I remember that I had that. So finally, I'm able to 100% complete this copy. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 The Manhattan Project for the regular Nintendo. Alright, so this person had a game that caught my eye, and it's a game that I've been looking for a long time for the PS1 set. This is Intelligent Cube. I paid $20 for this. So finally, I did a late night pickup with a local contact of mine in Colorado Springs, and he said he had a copy of a sealed game, and he only wanted half of its asking price. So for $40, I got a sealed copy of the Ocarina of Time Master Quest dual pack for the original GameCube. For the GameCube. I couldn't pass up on a sealed copy, especially for half its retail price, so $40 for that. Alright, so that's all the pickups that I got for this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And if you want to see more videos, click that subscribe button. Other than that, hope you guys are killing it out there, especially since it's spring cleaning time. Happy hunting. Peace.